Okay, so let's start now. Good morning again for all the people that was since the beginning, and for the new one that has just joining us. Welcome to this session of today, to this February webinar. As you know, this one is a special one, is related to the empowerment of women in science, because today is the Day of Women in Science, and the idea of here is to give the floor, at least in the first part, only to women, women with more experience in research, in life, and also in these challenges of making the balance between work and personal life. And also in the last part, we will go for younger researchers for their experience, their also the challenges that they are living at the moment and different points related to the women in science. And finally, in our last session of today, in the third part, you will see we will leave an interactive workshop about how to inspire new generation. So basically, before starting, what we like to do is to make an overview of the speaker of today and the people that will be moderating the sessions. The first speaker that we will have will be Yvonne Ryan. She's Associated Professor in Environmental Science at the University of Limerick in Ireland. Welcome, Yvonne. Her research is related in the industrial ecology and materials flow analysis. She has been working with the Irish government in some scientific group. Also, he has experience in different projects like Main Circ or other kind of projects like Streak. So she has a lot of experience in environmental, circular economy, and other green topics, and she will present her point of view about women in science later on. The second speaker is Ofira Ayalon. She's from Israel. She's a full professor of the Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Management. Also, she is head of environmental cluster in the Institute of Technion. She has experience in different environmental research and policy implication as well, and she has working in a model that is recognized at national level about updating energy and environmental activities. Also work with the Ministry of Israel and in different kind of studies. The following one will be Giovanna Colucci. She's PhD candidate in Portugal, in the University of Porto, and also in the Centro or Research Center of Montaña. She's currently working on developing Pickering emulsions, and she will explain later on what her approach and studies are. The next one will be Awino. She's an environmental and green transition consultant. She work in practical in textile manufacturing in the Kenyatta University, but also she work in other kind of organization in Africa and international level, such EcoSchool Kenya, Natural Environment Management Authority, Future Rural Development, etc. Then we have Gülsah Keklik. She's postdoctoral research at the Eurasian Institute of Earth Science at Istanbul Technical University. She coordinates a project related to microorganisms and the reduce of the global warming impact. She has a special or she's specialized in biometric genetics, but also she has a mathematics bachelor, so she's a very interdisciplinary researcher, and she will explain later on her point of view. And then for the moderating section, we will have Senadas. She's lecturer in supply chain management in UK in the Montfort University. He's focused on operation research, artificial intelligence techniques, and also other kind of topics such as industrial symbiosis from the part of employing mathematical modeling. She has several also contributions, review work journal like Applied Soft Computing, Computer and Industrial Engineer, and different kind of conference and international conference. So basically, that's our speakers of today. I'm going to leave the floor for the first speaker, as I mentioned before, it's Yvonne Ryan. So Yvonne, the floor is yours. I think you could share the screen now.
Perfect. Okay, share screen. Um, Perfect. Okay, so I hope this works now. So I'm going to give a little bit. Oh yeah, so share. Should press the share button.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm going to give a little bit of background to my I suppose journey in science and why I am a woman in science and some of the lessons I've learned along the way and some of the things that I see that we still have work to do on. So I guess my catalyst for research in during my bachelor's program, we had a very strong focus on uh, co-op work placement, and I was placed in Roche Pharmaceuticals, which was located in Ireland at the time, and I absolutely loved it there. The making life-saving medicines and drugs was, I really understood the need for it. I really engaged with the process, but it has a huge environmental impact. And I realized that I wanted to help in some way to shape the environmental outcomes of this industry. And we used to get regularly inspected by the Environmental Protection Agency, and I absolutely adored their work. And I decided there and then that I'd love to work for the Environmental Protection Agency. And I had a few key kind of fascinations from my time in the pharmaceutical industry, that there were some really problematic waste streams and that there could be so much more done with these waste streams. There was opportunities for minimization and exchange. And, there was cases where there could have been times to exchange wastes and resources with other neighboring businesses, but there was always barriers and inhibitors in the way of that. And it really pinged a curiosity in me. And I really wanted to know, how do we facilitate these linkages? It's not just what are the linkages, it's how do we make them happen? And that led me into the two things: wanting to work for an environmental regulation and enabling body, but also the fascination with industrial ecology led me to do a PhD in industrial ecology. And I'm going to very clearly and openly admit my privilege here. I was incredibly lucky in Ireland. Higher level education is actually funded by the state. There are some fees that students pay, but they're quite low compared to internationally. So I'm from a very working class background. My parents wouldn't have gone to wouldn't have gotten much more education than maybe secondary school level education. My parents certainly didn't go to university, but the fact that we had a support system in Ireland that would allow you to do that was incredibly beneficial. The other thing that I was really, really fortunate with was the Irish government also ran, we have a very strong Irish Research Council, and I managed to get an EarthSec grant to fund my PhD studies. And this actually paid my fees and a stipend on which I could actually live off of. So it was a huge enabler in the ecosystem to allow people to advance careers in research and in higher education. So that was my PhD was on industrial ecology, and I had this view that I would love to go and work within the regulatory sector. But as I went through my PhD, I realized that I really wanted to help inform that sector. And I realized then that actually a career in academia is actually what I wanted. So I went from several different ideas about what my career might be into eventually realizing that academia was in fact the career that I wanted to pursue. So this has been my career path between 2010 and 2025. So I finished my PhD in 2010, and it has been a long, slow journey to being an associate professor. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is that there was a massive recession in Ireland in 2008, which lasted about 5 or 6 years. And during that time, there was no research funding. I took a job in the NGO sector, and I honestly believe that my academic career was over. I really loved the NGO sector, and I see that one of my fellow speakers is actually involved in eco schools as well. I actually worked for eco schools for 5 years as a Green Campus Development Manager, and that link, that other experience of looking into the education sector has been hugely beneficial for me, and has shaped an awful lot of the work that I do going forward. So sometimes these, what you think are setbacks, you look back later and realize that they were actually opportunities in disguise. And it's very hard to take those knocks on the chin at times. But I suppose I have the benefit of looking back and being an older person now, looking back on a career formation, is a place that I'm actually again very privileged to be in. So, and that experience has meant that there's been a lot of precarity along the way, but that has allowed me to work with a huge number of stakeholders, because I've had to change jobs a good few times, change projects a good few times, but it has given me a massive base and a massive network of collaborators and people that I can work with going forward, which has been, at the time when I was going through it, was incredibly frustrating, but now looking back has obviously been has been a huge benefit. So, like I said, the reality of it was that mass recession, was working in the NGO sector, but still managed to find research and research output that I could do while I was there. And while I was there, I worked on greening healthcare. So again, that link between, I know what the world needs in terms of healthcare. How can we make drugs greener, but how can we make a healthcare system greener? And right, that's what I had to work with. And I was able to do some research while I was in the NGO and get that published later. So looking at things that might be barriers and turning them into opportunities. So between 2018 and 2024, I held at least 6 different contracts. I worked in 3 different locations. And okay, my CV is now huge because of that, but the level of precarity and worry and stress that involved is probably something I wouldn't like to experience again. And it's something that women experience a lot. And it's something that people in academia and especially in early stage academia experience a lot. And I have seen so many excellent researchers leave because of these conditions. It's unfair. It's not right. If we're talking about building sustainable higher education, we need to address the issue of precarity. We need to address these kind of issues. I'm again going to acknowledge a huge privilege I've had here. I'm a woman who's married to a man, and that man has a stable job. And that is part of the reality for lots of people in academia, is that one partner perhaps has a stable income and another partner is working through precarity. And I don't think it's fair to come into a platform and tell you that all of this has been generated through hard work and luck. You know, hard to tell you that it's been generated through hard work. A lot of it has been through luck and privilege and fortune. And I think it's important to actually state that up front. Now, what I hope to bring to you is some insight into hopefully how to turn barriers into opportunities, and how we can, as a collectivist, try to change things for others in science and engineering and mathematics, and especially those of us in higher education. And another reality of the journey is that I'm also the mom of three incredible little boys, and they were born at various points throughout my journey. So that explains some of the different contracts, but the different contracts were a reality anyway. Ireland has quite good maternity leave. We get 4 months of paid maternity leave that's sponsored by the state. Sometimes employers will top up your salary to match your previous before you were on maternity leave salary, and then Ireland also offers extended maternity leave, which people can take. That's unpaid leave, but it's protected leave. And that situation isn't great. Having to take unpaid leave is not a good situation, and we should work to change that. But those extended periods of leave obviously held back publications, held back research. On a career point of view, there's no doubt about it. It does impact on your career. But I suppose on a personal level, the outcome has been amazing. Would not swap these three amazing people for diamonds or gold or any riches in the world. But again, being a mother in STEM has changed my perception of the world as well. It's also given me some insights that I didn't have before, and has really helped me to navigate some other pieces of research that I've done. And I'll give some examples of that. So this kind of leads to the question of, why have I stayed in research so long? And what the path's been quite tough. It's been fragmented. It's been murky. But I keep coming back to the reasons why I do the research that I do, and that those reasons are the same reasons that undergraduate student had when she was on co-op, the same reasons that the PhD student had while she was doing her PhD. The exact same motivation is to do some good in the world, to make some sustainable changes, to facilitate that transition to better, to how do we deliver healthcare in a greener, more sustainable way? How do we deliver products that are life-saving, that are needed in a greener, more sustainable way? And that's really kept me going. And the one big thing that I had really wanted to do was to inform the EPA of changes that they needed to make in terms of their approaches to enforcing legislation and managing legislation. And over the course of the academy and higher education and academia will tell you that there's metrics that they have that are metrics of success. The number of publications, your H index, how much funding have you brought in? Yeah, they are metrics of success that the institution wants, right? But for me, my metric of success is what is my personal alignment with my goals? Have I achieved what I set out to achieve? And I think what's kept me in my career as long as I have been is that I have always stayed true to my goals. So one of my goals was to inform the Environmental Protection Agency of things that they could do. And a piece of work that my least cited paper is actually the paper I'm most proud of, because it was actually, the work in it was used by my Environmental Protection Agency to quote statistics to the European Union. That for me is that's a check mark of success. Does the institution care about it? No, they don't. But I do. I care. It's what makes my work worthwhile to me. And also, work that I've done has the Irish government nominated me to be part of the Minamata Convention on Mercury, the open-ended scientific group for the evaluation of its effectiveness. And to me, that's been one of the greatest honours of my career, is that work that I do, in fact, helps to shape an international convention and to see if it's effective, and to help shape the next parts to come. That's been really satisfying for me. And again, I have the institution, publications, H-index has nothing to do with this. So holding what you feel to be true is really important. And another thing that kind of keeps me going is lovely collaborations that I have, that since, say, becoming a parent in STEM, I realized that sustainable travel isn't inclusive. It doesn't help particularly women who tend to do trip chaining. And I've been able to collaborate with others to contribute a little part of my expertise, which is material flow analysis and looking at high impact products, and in this case, e-bikes, with other people's health psychology, behavioral change, with their expertise, and seeing where I can be a contributor to a much bigger synthesis of knowledge. And this is one of my, I have to say, it's one of the other thing that really keeps me going, is working with really great people. And this is one of those examples where you just get to work with excellent people, and it's fun. It actually means it's worthwhile work, and it's fun, enjoying the collaborations and enjoying the output. So what I would say is, like, why is a career in STEM so important? My slides aren't moving for some weird reason. I'm really sorry. Okay, let's see if I can move this on. Okay, yeah. So I suppose my advice is for people starting out in an early career is identify your motivation and hold that true to yourself. What is your unique angle? What's your brand? What's your skill? What you excel at? What makes you you and different and unique to everybody else? And along this journey, you need to reach out to people. You need to let other people know what you want to achieve from your career. And that's been a key part for me as well, is working with excellent collaborators, but letting them know, this is what I want from my career. I want to be at that level. I want to move to that role. How do I get there? And when people see that, they support you. And I've been incredibly lucky with a supportive network, but also I've found lots of lovely networks like that. And I actually firmly believe that this cost action is one of those networks as well. So a huge thank you to Alma Dinah for bringing us together. It's so important. These conversations are important. These reaching out and telling other people what you need and what you want and how you can be supported is so important on the journey. But again, finding the fun, finding the motivation. And when you find the fun, the funding follows. Because when you are passionate about something, when you know something to be true, when you believe in it, that's where you write the best funding applications, because it literally lifts off the page. You can see it. Okay, so finally, my final departure slide is hopefully to contribute to the conversation, but also to give us a platform from where we need to continue the fight, where we need to support our sisters in other countries and in other jurisdictions, and also within our own. So caregiving leave. Not all of us are mothers, but at some point in time, almost every human has to give some care to other people, be it elderly parents, be it neighbours, be it a partner, or even people in our community. People in our academic community often need care. Let's extend caregiving leave. Let's make it paid. Let's make it extended. Care work is work. And we need to recognise that. Funding agencies, a huge opportunity for me was the emergence of DORA CVs, where you're able to give a more narrative explanation of your impact in the world, compared to what the institution's impact is. Again, that impact of H index, number of citations, high impact publications. If policymakers aren't using your work, or if policymakers are using your work and there isn't a high impact publication, how does that get counted? We need to, again, keep the pressure on to have DORA CVs, the recognition of work, the recognition of impact, and the recognition of periods of leave of absence and caring leave. Mentoring is a huge part of this as well. Support, like I give probably 2 to 3 hours a week myself mentoring others, so helping my colleagues and friends, anyone who asks for a cup of coffee and a bit of advice, I'm really happy to step up. But also seeking mentors and in your own organization as well. So there is a saying, you know, that if you climb a so-called ladder, if you climb to another level, don't pull the ladder up after you. Actually build the ladder, make the ladder into a staircase to help other people get up there with you easier. You know, turn the ladder into an elevator. You know, support your colleagues around you. And again, be a member of support groups and contribute. So the minute Almudena asked for people to be here today, I was, you know, very, very happy to step up. Again, I'm fortunate that I have the time to do this. And there I'm always welcome to and open to correction on anything I've said here, and open to extending anything I've said here. And again, please feel free to reach out and contact me. I'm always happy to support and mentor women in my field and in other fields. So I'm aware that I've been rabbiting on here for a while now, so I'm going to stop and turn it back.
Thank you so much, Yvonne, for
this
experience speech and for sharing with us all your challenges and also the big effort that you did to be where you are now. So if some of you have questions, you could put in the chat or maybe wait until the presentation of Ofira, because we would like to close each session. So if I would like to introduce again Ofira. Welcome, Ofira, today. And he will do the last part of this Woman Pioneer session. So the floor is yours. You are mute.
Now not. No. Can you see my full screen?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And thank you very much for having me here. And after Yvonne, I feel so small and neglected. So I'll try to keep up with the pace. So I also was asked to talk about my path. So I'm a woman with many hats. I only put one on, but I have many hats. One of them is a teacher and a supervisor of master's and PhD students at the School of Environmental Sciences. I'm heading the Energy and Environment cluster at the Samuel Lehman Institute. This is important because the Samuel Institute is dealing with policy issues. So it's not just the environmental sciences, it's moving the science that is created in the university to be more efficient as a policy measure or policy recommendation. And I'm also heading the Natural Resource and Environmental Research Center that deals mainly with issues of waste, energy, environmental economics, industrial symbiosis, and all this kind of stuff. So I think that the combination of these two institutions, the University of Haifa and the Technion, is very relevant to what I do. So I had a love and passion for biology and chemistry. So I thought that the best thing I can do is go and study food and biotechnology engineering at the Technion. And this is my BSc. And then, life brings you to all opportunities. And I collaborated with two professors, one from the Technion, one from the University of Haifa. And my master's dealt with the waste management in Israel, and really it was the first time ever at the Technion. The Technion is a technical university that someone put a master's on policy. This paper, this master's thesis dealt with policy issue. And we published it, and it was sold. People actually bought my master's, and it was very, fulfilling. But actually, I had already 3 children. And I thought, okay, you have a master's degree, you can, find a work, start at 8, finish at 4, take the children from school, and be happy with that. But then I read a very, very short notice, and this is part of, chances and grabbing opportunities and finding the path when you just read a very small note saying that it was back in 1990 that juice boxes were banned in Maine in the US. The issue was that these boxes, the juice boxes, are made from laminates. It's the cardboard, and then the aluminum foil, and then the plastics. And because of this multi-layer packaging, it was not able to recycle this juice box back in the 90s. Today, this is not the issue, but back in the 90s, it was a main issue that you cannot recycle something. And then it was banned. So it was no longer available to buy these juice boxes in Maine. But a life cycle assessment study conducted by Tetra Pak, and Tetra Pak is the biggest company in the US that produces these boxes. They showed that when you use these boxes, you use less energy during transportation and during storage because they have a long shelf life. So it's like 3 months, and you can transport and store it without cooling. And therefore, this package is very environmentally friendly. And in addition, this kind of box preserves vitamin C. And the children in the US go with this juice box, with the orange juice box to school, and it covers more than half their daily vitamin C uptake. So after 4 years of banning this package, these juice boxes returned to me in 1994. And I said, okay, I read this. This is what I'm going to deal with my PhD. So this is just 4 lines that I understood that I'm going to use this life cycle assessment methodology in my PhD. And indeed, my PhD was composed from 4 published papers dealing with all kinds of alternatives and life cycle assessment comparisons. I have to say that at that time, I'm talking 2000, we didn't have these softwares that we have today. So we didn't have Gabi, and we didn't have Sima Pro, and we didn't have anything like that. So I had to manipulate the information in order to really assess what is the good environmentally sustainable. We didn't even know the word sustainable, okay? To suggest waste management policies in Israel. So I finished my PhD. And ever since, I'm working both at the University of Haifa and the Nieman Institute at the Technion. it is very important for me to emphasize that I could not go on a postdoc position, because if you're pursuing for an academic position, one thing that is they always look at you is where did you do your postdoc, and if you collaborated with other labs or research groups and stuff like that. But I could not do it. I could not do it because I had 3 little children and I had a husband with a permanent job, like you said, Yvonne. And this is exactly one of our problems. And then when you start to scale up in the academic rate, then you find yourself, let's say, a bit stuck because you didn't do this PhD abroad. So I said, okay, let's take this lemon juice and make a sort of a lemonade out of it. And today I'm combining both, detailed research with policy documents. And if you look at my CV, not my Google Scholar or anything like that, you can see that I have published, let's say, more than 50, peer-reviewed papers, but I have published more than 130 policy papers. And if we're talking about impact, I think that the impact is there with the policy publications and not really, your scientific papers, peer-reviewed and everything. Not that I'm not giving any importance to that, but really to change policy thinking, environmental policy thinking. This is why I do what I do, okay? So I find it very, very important to do that. One of the things that made me very happy that I was awarded back in 2018 with the Michael Landau Prize, which is a prestigious prize in Israel. So as you can see, I was very happy. And it was the field of research in sustainability. These words meant very much to me, not the price, but the essence of research in the field of sustainability. This is what really made it very important to me. So I would like now to come to some take-home messages and maybe follow Yvonne on what she said. So now you want to step up as a young woman and become a researcher, become a faculty member, become a leader. So first, you need to really understand what is your passion. I completely agree with that. And I would also like to add that when you were talking, Yvonne, you were talking as a woman to women. And I think that we as women, and you can see it in all the researches that we read, women are thinking differently around the environment than men. So it was proven in so many studies. We are more compassionate. We are more, we think about our children and our grandchildren and future generations. So this is part of our, X chromosome. Let's call it our double X chromosomes that we have. So you need to become an influential researcher and develop your self-identity as an influential leader and contribute to the society. This is completely true that when we are judged, to promote in our academic lives, the issue of contributing to society is rather vague in our promotions. And I think this should be changed. So we should work on another indexing of people rather than their age index. If I were younger, I would like to have an influential community that leads interinstitutional, initiatives and promotes gender equity in the academia, and to have sort of a sisterhood that you can consult, you can raise issues, you can, promote and support women that want to move on. I have to say that I have already 4 grandchildren, and when I wake up in the morning, what I do and what I write and what I study and what I research and what I read is to make their world better. I think we lost part of the future because we missed to do a lot of things because of politics, because of wrong policies. So now we find ourselves in a way that we need to choose where to go. My recommendation is that each and every one do it their own way. Make yourself excel, make yourself different, make yourself influential.
Thank you so much, Ofira, for your presentation. Congratulations as well for all the achievement that you reach from your life. Also, I see that we have an idea in our starting point, let's say, and opportunities, challenges, and other kind of situation made us to change. So I think that is a really good experience to and also I like Yvonne and you mentioned the same. Try to find your path, try to be yourself, and try to enjoy what are you doing, because of course we are staying more than the half our life working, so try to do something that we like and be patient. Thank you so much for all of you, for both of you, for this first part of today about your experience and your career, and also to make some tips for the youngers and for other person that would like to listen for you. I think that in the chat there are not any question, just people congratulations both of you for your speech. So anyway, if any question arrives for the chat, I will share with you. But I will change for the second part of today, that are young women and girl leading science. And I would like to give the floor for the first speaker, Giovanna Colucci. So, Giovanna, the floor is yours. Good morning.
Good morning, thank you. I'll share my screen. Can you all see and hear me well?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. I am very happy to participate in this Women in Science webinar. So I would like to thank you, Almudena, and organizers for this remarkable event. I am Giovanna Colucci, a PhD candidate in Chemical and Biological Engineering at the Centro de Investigação de Montanha in Portugal. So to start, I will tell you about my scientific pathway. It began in 2015 when I entered the Chemical Engineering Bachelor's course in Brazil. And then in 2018, I moved to Bragança City in Portugal to participate in a double degree program in chemical engineering to obtain the master's degree. And during my master's, I worked on developing functional finishes for the leather applications. So I learned about product development using natural ingredients in the group of Professor Filomena Barreiro. And then at the end of 2020, I started my PhD studies in the same group, but with a different subject. So I say that starting my PhD was a very important step, not only in my academic life, but in my life in general, because I was privileged to choose what I wanted to study, and I always have a passion and want to study science for cosmetics. So I started looking for the problems that the cosmetic industry has and what could be done. And I found that most of the synthetic ingredients that are used in these cosmetic products, they are associated with environmental and health issues. So, for example, there are some emulsifiers, some antioxidants that are related to aquatic pollution and risks to the marine life because they are non-biodegradable. And also, some ingredients have been associated with some health issues, such as allergies and hormonal imbalances. So, in my PhD studies, I wanted to explore something that could have an impact in this problem. So, something that I could replace in a more sustainable way, for example. And then I found lignin. Lignin is the most abundant aromatic biopolymer on Earth. And lignin has the potential to be a replacer of these harmful ingredients. So, lignin is a biopolymer found in all the plants and trees, together with cellulose and hemicellulose. And lignin has the function in the trees to give strength and protection. However, most isolated lignins are found as a residue of the pulp and paper industries, where they are burned to produce energy. And this residue has the remarkable potential to be applied and valorized in cosmetic industries because lignin has antioxidant, UV protection, and emulsifying properties. So by this time, I didn't know that I was applying the concept of industrial symbiosis because I will valorize a residue from one industry to become the raw material of another industry. So in my PhD studies, what I did was I explored different lignins from different sources and extraction process, and I transformed these raw lignins into multifunctional ingredients that could be directly applied to formulate cosmetics that are more sustainable. So with this transformation, I was able to produce lignin-based ingredients that could reduce or replace these harmful ingredients that I told you. And as a proof of concept, I applied these ingredients to produce emulsions. And these emulsions, they were more sustainable because they have these lignin-based ingredients that acted as stabilizers of the oil and water phases and also provided UV protection and antioxidant features to the formulations. And this achievement was recognized by a Portuguese bank, which awards innovative and sustainable projects that has the potential to become industrial or commercial solutions. And this award motivated me to keep developing this project, which gave rise to Lignobeauty. And the Lignobeauty concept is about transforming lignin into beauty within a circular value chain. And now, as future perspectives, I intend to evolve the Lignobeauty to a startup where I can apply these ingredients that I developed in my PhD studies into commercial cosmetic products that are more sustainable and safe for the environment and for consumers. With this, I'd like to finish and thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, Giovanna, for your presentation. I have just a short question. Did you find a challenge to change your country to move to Europe? Because it's, let's say, a little bit so far.
Yes, I was lucky because I didn't came alone. So I came already with my boyfriend. So we came together to do the masters. And to be honest, I think I adapted very well to Portugal because we have some similar culture, let's say. And also I enjoyed living here in Bragança. So for me, it was not so much challenging.
Thank you. Obrigada.
De
Okay.
nada.
I don't see any question for the moment, so thank you again, Giovanna, for your presentation, and I will leave the floor for the next one. The next one is Awino. Good morning, Awino. I think you are here. Could you share your screen?
Hi, just requesting for 1 minute to fix my internet coverage, and then I could join in. Could somebody go before me, please?
Of
Thank you.
course, I will, if it is not a problem. Gülsah, Keklik, could you go first?
Yes.
Go.
Can you
Thank
hear
you.
me? Can you
Yes.
hear? Yeah, it's okay. Okay.
Good morning, Gülsah. She's a postdoctoral researcher, as I mentioned before, in the Istanbul Technical University. So I will give the floor here before.
Yeah, thank you. I will share my screen. Is there any problem with my presentation?
Just a second, please.
It's okay.
Now we are seeing. If you could do full screen, it could be better.
Yeah, I will. Yes. Okay. Oh, what's wrong?
Okay, perfect now.
Huh? It's
Thank
okay.
you.
Okay. Okay. I will talk about my academic journey today. And at first, who am I? I'm a postdoctoral researcher at the Eurasian Institute of Earth Science at Istanbul Technical University. I coordinating my research project, characterization of methanogenic microorganisms and reducing their impact on global warming in here. I completed my PhD at the Çukurova University, specializing in biometry and genetics after earning my Master of Science in the same field. I hold a bachelor's degree in mathematics. I have been involved in numerous research projects, serving as both coordinator and researcher. I have received several academic fellowships and grants, including the presidency of the Council of Higher Education, PhD scholarship, and the Scientific and Technological Research Council of Turkey postdoctoral research fellowship. I aim to develop innovative projects and improve the effective use of the data-driven methodologies in scientific studies, open academic and industrial collaborations. I seek to contribute to progressing research through innovative and analytical approach. And my research areas are mathematics, biometry, genetics, bioinformatics, global warming, health science, animal science, and in many other multidisciplinary fields. Being a woman in science, sometimes fighting inequality, sometimes not to be taken seriously, being ignored in academic studies despite being involved in all states, not valuing their opinions, underestimating their knowledge and skills, to be brought to administrative positions less often, being abused, to be emphasized with physical characteristics instead of achievements. In addition to all this, my PhD journey was a bit hard because of these issues. I was subjected to mobbing many times during my PhD education, domestic international traveling, whether for educational purposes or not, was prevented. No other trainers were asked to provide training, was made to feel insufficient to attend congresses and write articles, never appreciated and tried to suppress. In the end, I had to work with another advisor during my PhD. I'm a woman scientist with my ambition, effort, power, and enthusiasm, inspiration, hardworking, intelligence, moralized, ethics, and the whole. And I don't let anyone underestimate or ignore my talents. My way deserves to intersect with all beauty. I never gave up and I never will. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Gülsah, for your
You're welcome.
presentation. Sorry, I was on mute. I think
It was
it's
very quick, I think.
no, I mean it's enough. Also, I think
Yeah.
that you highlight the most important point. I also think that to have moral or ethics is also a very interesting point that you mentioned, because sometimes I have the feeling that some our colleagues at work have like they want to be the best one. It doesn't matter if they are women or males, but they don't have a look
Slave.
what they are
Sometimes
close
you
to
can be
them.
your slave.
So I also think that one of the important points to be better researcher or worker or wherever, also in the personal life, is not only to be selfish and to focus on yourself, is also to go farther, to, as Yvonne also mentioned, to support the community and to work with the community. So thank you so much for your presentation, really inspiring as well. Thank you. Okay, Awino, I don't know if you have solved your problem now.
Yes, just confirming if you can hear me and see me.
Yeah, now we are doing both things. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Let me try share my screen.
Yeah. Yes, now we are seeing your screen.
All right, thank you so much. Greetings from Kenya, Nairobi specifically. My name is Awino Kawino. I'm from Kenyatta University, and also I'm representing the Green Institute, and also representing the fashion caravan here in Kenya. So I'm basically wearing many hats, but specifically today I'm coming in as a sustainability researcher. So I'll just jump in quickly to a latest finding that I got. I'm a student also at Kenyatta University, and specifically I'm with a project called Europe at the moment, and we're trying to do some digital transitions for small, medium enterprises. And specifically, there is an area that I'm very passionate about called gender and gender mainstreaming. So I wrote a manuscript recently, and I call it The Silent African Child. And child is actually in quote unquote, because in Africa, we have a concept that a child represents a woman and a girl. In this book, I'm looking at the aspects of silence, especially in matters to do with sustainability, given that climate action is quite relevant. But before this, I'd like to just share that I did my bachelor's in environmental science from Kenyatta University, and currently awaiting my defense at the Kenyatta University. Also did research in green growth in manufacturing sector in Kenya, specifically the textile industry. But specifically for the purposes of this talk, I prepared this unpublished manuscript focusing on the aspect of fear-based silence in sustainability science. The reason why I focused on this also is because I'm doing some impact work on how women can become more empowered, especially as researchers. So one of the questions I'm answering is, why are the systems silent in Africa? And I'm looking specifically at what Spiller said in terms of there's a lot of fear-based silence. And this silence is actually affecting our ability to create meaningful and impactful solutions that are innovative in the sustainability space. As we celebrate this day, I also just wanted to mention that the space of green transitions has a lot of potential to support science, and especially women rising to take up scientific careers as the ones that have gone before me, who are way doing greater stuff. Of course, we know that there are climate scientists, sustainability specialists, environmental engineers, and others who are supporting this space. In leadership, we have a lot of silence in sustainability spaces where we need a lot of women advocating for new policies, strategies. There's a lot of silence in that space. And lastly, I'm also reflecting on the quote that Wolfgang said, that silence said at the right moment is golden. So I'm really questioning this and wondering, is this quote really understood? Because it's oftenly used in the wrong contexts. So I'm looking at silence in different ways. There's sustainability, education, and there are aspects that are silent. So one of the platforms that I really follow, called the University World News, has talked about silencing of the academic woman. And this is done in different ways, even in terms of representation, engagement, and even action in academia, in universities where some of us are faculty members of. And also there is a lot of underrepresentation in terms of new policies, new governance, and this all, we call them silence. And the reason why there's a lot of silence is because of various things that we're going to see at the end. But just to mention, there's resource insufficiencies. There's a bit of inability and insufficiencies in terms of power and incapabilities in terms of skill sets. There's also silence in terms of advocacy, policy, and leadership. And just specifically, I'll handle advocacy. So as I mentioned, I'm doing some work with the Green Institute. Specifically, I'm the partnerships and fundraising lead. And we're doing a lot of work, which I'll share after this in the chat box. And we are trying to also dismantle this silence by giving women opportunities to speak, for example, in World STEAM Symposium, World Sustainability Conferences, World Environmental Conferences. So we're also trying to shape the woman that we want to see who is not silent. So there's a research that was done that also says that silence is actually shaping women. Of course, this is not just an African problem, it's a global problem. So I'm using this just to show that this marginalization is spread across different parts of the continent. And also there's silence in terms of societal norms. So again, I'll just mention a few research that have been done around this area. One was done by Dat Bao, who also talks about the multiple types of silence and also talks about silence in terms of 3 categories. So there's the sociocultural silence, which is quite rampant in Africa. And we see its influence also in academia and also specifically in sustainability, especially sustainability being a very new concept in my country. And Rebecca said something, she's also an environmentalist and is a writer. She says that voices, and I know that is the theme of this year's Women in Science, voices are like undersea volcanoes. They disrupt illusion, reshape the world, while silence enables suffering and injustices to persist. I won't read sentence by sentence. Similarly, the silence of women imposed allows systematic inequalities, even in academia. Last but not least, the silence in economic empowerment. We have currently at the Uni Europa, where I am with Professor Mustafa from Edinburgh, we're doing a project just to look at how we can support economic empowerment for researchers and teaching researchers how to monetize their research skills and honing them so that they can also become very sustainable. And this is one of the aspects we're looking at, and there need therefore to be reforms around the silence in sustainability issues, specifically for economic empowerment. And basically what I've observed are looking at the threats, the opportunities, of course, using the SWOT analysis. I'm looking at what are the threats to this silence that we are experiencing in the field of sustainability science. Of course, we're giving examples, and the examples I'm also writing in my book, for example, are unequal, insecure rights over land. So we're having a lot of land issues, and that means we cannot really solve our geopolitical issues in a just and fair manner. And also we're looking at underrepresentation in terms of natural resources and specifically in decision making. Also, I'd like to share that the fact that we have been silent, because I was looking at statistics, and 33% is where we're at globally in terms of women in research. And this is quite showing that we need some work to do in terms of the work that we're doing as women in science. And so one of the things I shared is we have a lot of leverage points to support leadership and systems, especially since we've been silent. We have a lot of insight that comes in that. So there's a quote from UNESCO. This was shared in 2024. And I just put it there for every one of us to see that we have been called to be women in science, not women in silence. And unpacking this silence in your own lens will help you take the action you need to take as a woman in science. And we're called to disrupt the silence and make action. I think this is my second last slide. And the three ways that I've mobilized, of course, with some research, is we have three ways that we can disrupt silence. The first one, as Almudena is doing great work here, is banding us together. So putting us together in networks where we can band together ideas, like I've learned so much from the previous speakers, and collaborate with existing women. Because I said my research focused on manufacturing, I learned that there's a lot of nexus opportunities to collaborate. And in Kenya specifically, we have a women network just to support women in manufacturing. And that can also give us insights on how to support the bonds that we can create even in our own faculties. The second one is creating coalitions, and I would talk about interdisciplinary coalitions in the field of sustainability research, so that we can also have a lot of transdisciplinary coalition and support and co-develop solutions together. The last one is combating internalized fear, like what Almudena is doing here, is giving women opportunities to speak. And so that amplifies their voices and gives them a sense of belonging and a sense of esteem. Lastly, mobilizing representation, as we're doing in today, and also creating a lot of allyship. I've seen there are a few men in the call. Congratulations. That is very good allyship, and it promotes this agenda. And also acknowledging when silence is a strength and when you need to speak about your research. So this is a part of the studies that I brought into this work, just part of them. And as I end this, I just wanted to share that we have to go beyond and also disrupt this silence in its forms. It comes in different ways. It faces us in our workplaces, especially as academics, and we need to dismantle it in the ways that I've proposed. And with those two remarks, I would like to wish you all a happy Women in Science Day. Thank you so much. Back to you, Almudena.
Thank you so much, Awino, for your presentation. I think it's quite important because there is a different context in Africa than in Europe, and I think that you give us a a different point of view and a different context. And so basically, thank you. And also thank you for all the work that you are doing, all this book and all these researchers. So thank you for your work as well and for presenting it today. I don't see that there are any questions for this second session, so I would like to thank again to Giovanna, Awino, and Gülsah for their presentation, that they were amazing and completely different, that is so enriching. So I would like to move for the last part. The last part is a kind of interactive workshop. So I am going to separate or split you into a small group. One will be moderated by Senadas, that I presented her before, and the other will be basically moderated by myself because the other colleague finally couldn't attend. So basically, I'm going to split you in that group. I'm going to give you around 15-20 minutes to discuss a little bit how we could inspire the new generation to be scientific, to believe in their dreams and work hard to be researchers as us. So I'm going to move to you, and it's very open and any comment and opinion is more than welcome here. Hello, everyone. I hope your discussion has been successful and grateful. I would like to give you the floor, Sena, for a recap.
So actually, we had a really fruitful discussion, Almudena. Thank you for the opportunity once more time. Actually, we had some interesting ideas. So Ofira suggested that maybe organizations, maybe funding bodies like EU or Horizon, so they can create a key performance indicator related to the inclusion of women in the projects. So even we talked about some research that shows whether this inclusion of women in research projects improve the quality of these research proposals or whether improve the quality of the outcomes from this research. So we said that maybe it can be a future research project and maybe a future cost because we weren't aware of any research that is conducted. Maybe there is, but we weren't aware of. So maybe this is worth studying in the future. And also we talked about the role of support groups. So Ofira also mentioned about a support group in Women in Energy. And Awino said that we need the support groups, and these support groups should be, let me say, supported by a coalition of several sectors, several government bodies, so that women can benefit from these support groups, so the impact of their research can be enhanced if they are supported through these support groups. And then we talked about the role of women in management committees and in management roles. So we observe a gap there. So we believe that if women have more roles in these management committees or in management roles, we believe that our expectations, our needs as women researchers or women scientists can be heard by men, because the current system is unfortunately male-centric and it affects the performance appraisals and promotions negatively. So we believe that we need some action in these, let me say, to solve these issues or to overcome some barriers.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the approach and for the ideas. I think that they are quite interesting, and I also see the fact that we need to engage more policymakers to achieve more, let's say, more active action, because at the end, let's say, we are more informal groups, and at the end, it's important to engage policy makers. From our side, I have to say that the way of inspiring next generation could be, or the ideas that we are implementing, is to go to schools and to high school and to make with them experiments to try to be more sustainable, but also to improve and to boost this culture of the research. I also have to mention that, for example, in Portugal with Maria Jose from CTCP, they are doing an interactive itinerary exposition. They have contact with mayors and other universities around Portugal, and they are going to go from the main big cities and other kind of town to present what is the footwear sector, for example, what they are doing in their research. So something like that could be also done and to be focused on women. And the other part of our discussion was if it is needed or it's important to women to, if they decide to have family, to reduce the amount of work and the time they are working. And we were discussing that there is that challenges or the challenge that today women arrive to the peak of their working life at the same time that biology say that you need to be a mother. So there is this kind of challenges of deciding to which part you go first, because let's say until the moment it's sometimes difficult to go farther with the personal and the working life. So we were also discussing about this challenge.
But Almedana, as you see, all of the presenters were moms with at least 3 kids, I guess. So
yeah,
it seems like
this first part was with a presenter with 3 children. That is like, let's say, a huge number as well. It was casual because, of course, I don't know the personal life. But yeah, we see that they did. So maybe some of us could do if we decide to go for this personal decision. But yeah, anyway, as also Yvonne mentioned and Ofira mentioned, sometimes the balance or to arrive to everything, it's difficult.
Really difficult, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to close this webinar of today. I would like to thank you to all the presenters, also for Jenna as moderator. I think it was a very inspiring session today. We go out a little bit of our scientific topic that we cover, but I think it has been very enriching, inspiring, and also we need to just trying to cooperate with others, trying to love our work and also our life. So for that, each one have to think what they need, what they want, and just follow their dreams and their careers. So thank you again for all of you for being here, also for your time, and see you next time in next webinar.
Thank you very much, Almedana.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.